Okay, now let's do our last block of operational metrics, but these operational metrics are now mostly based on the balance sheet items that show up. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I want to know the percentage of total deposits that are interest bearing. So interest bearing deposits divided by total deposits. So that would be interest bearing deposits divided by total deposits. Okay. Total deposits, dollar of deposits per branch. So total deposits divided by, we had number of branches up here. Okay. Oh, and the reason why I went in, I was like, oh, whoops, right? Let's put in the multiply by 1,000 is the number looked really small to me, right? How could a bank just have like $55,000 on deposit? And I was like, oh yes, of course. It's because Commerce Bank has this number in thousands. Okay. And I wanted this in whole dollar format. Okay. $55 million in deposit seems a lot more reasonable. Okay. Interest paid on deposits. So the interest rate paid on deposits, total interest expense divided by interest bearing deposits. So how much did I pay out? How much do I pay out in interest? Okay, total interest expense divided by interest bearing deposits. Okay, and since this is a rate, right, I don't need to multiply both sides by 1,000. Okay, total interest on loans, leases, securities, and cash. Okay, total interest earned on loans, leases, securities, and cash. Okay, so that'll be the total interest income divided by the cash plus securities plus net loans and leases. Total interest income divided by the stuff that I'm earning, supposedly earning interest off of, right? And it's going to be, these three things, right? The cash, the securities, and then the net loans and leases, because this is what I'm earning interest off of, presumably, right? So the way you would do this is sum, and then you would select those cells. Sum of, sum of I'm like trying to be all stealth here. Okay, sum of these. I can do it this way, or I can also do, equals that interest income divided by, right? Open parentheses, because remember, order of operation, I can literally select plus, 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 close parentheses and enter, right? And this is how much money I am making off of, whatever I'm investing in, be it bonds or securities or the loans that I'm putting out, or if I'm earning some interest on the cash that I'm holding also. Okay. This is also decimal points. Okay, the spread is the interest earned minus the interest paid on deposits. So that's the interest earned minus the interest paid. So that's my spread. Okay. Loan loss provisions as a percentage of net loans and leases. So how much of my loans and leases am I, writing off as a loss, or, anticipating to be at a loss. So that would be the, oops, loan loss provisions. Provisions for loan and lease losses divided by the net loans and leases. Okay. This will be the percent of net loans and leases as an allowance, right? So that's the loan loss allowance divided by net loans and leases. Okay. And percent of deposits that I actually loan out. So equals net loans and leases divided by interest-bearing deposits. Interest-bearing deposits? Yeah, interest-bearing deposits. Net loans and leases. Interest-bearing deposits. Okay, so this is the percentage of deposits that I essentially loan out, interest-bearing deposits that I loan out. Okay. And this is more an FSA thing, right? Because you can do this as a percentage of interest-bearing deposits. You can also, if you wanted to do it as a percentage of total deposits, right? It's up to you. We're not going to get into those nuances, but I'm okay if you leave it as that, but you can also do it as you can also do it with the denominator as the total deposits, right? What percentage of total deposits are you actually lending back out? Okay. Non-interest income as a percentage of interest-bearing deposit. So non-interest income. Non-interest income divided by, I think we had that as interest-bearing deposits. Oops. Yeah, total non-interest income. Non-interest income divided by the interest-bearing deposits. This is kind of the fees as a percentage of the deposits that are being held. And again, you can also remain consistent, right? And divide it by the total deposits if you wanted to also. Okay. It's up to you. But this number will give you an idea of kind of the fees that they earn off of, the deposit base. So like the bounce check fee, the whatever checking account maintenance fee or something like that, those fees. These are all going to be percentages. And the reason why I may seem a little wishy-washy on the denominators, just as long as you're consistent with what the denominator is and that you're comparing apples to apples. So if you're gonna use interest-bearing deposits for the denominator, do that for commerce and do that for industry. Don't mix metrics between comparisons. Go ahead and copy those all across. And okay, those all seem right. And again, I see a big difference between the two. And again, this is because industry is in millions. And I'm going to paste across. Okay. So it looks like industry on average has more deposits per branch, right? smaller percentage of the deposits at other banks are interest bearing, which is interesting. The interest that Commerce One pays on deposits is routinely lower by what? About 2 percentage points. Okay. But they also earn less, about 2 percentage points less on the their investments of that depositor, of the depositor's money. Okay. But net, the spread between, you know, how much they pay out in interest and how much they earn in interest, net, it looks like Commerce is routinely, they're about like, you know, 1.5 percentage points higher than industry. Less loan loss, that's consistent with the service design, where they don't usually lend out deposits and they are very conservative with the loans that they do make. Not too different. Okay. Although, you know, they have less loan loss provision. So this reflects kind of the conservative nature of their loans. They're very conservative when they give out loans. So they are less likely to, you know, have a loss on those loans. The percentage of deposits that are actually loaned out is very, very low. So again, this is consistent with Commerce not, you know, taking depositors' money and then loaning it back out to industry. And then fees, you can see that, you know, the fees are much lower than that for industry. Okay. So again, go through these metrics and write a few words on how it's consistent or not consistent with your understanding of Commerce's service design.